Hello, this is Julia Widdop with Talk Story TV, and I have with me today a psychic and shaman, Elaine Reed Cole. And so she's going to tell us a little bit about her work. Go ahead, Elaine.
Well, hello, everyone, and hello, Julia. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
It's nice to have you.
Let's see, where can I begin about myself? So you mentioned being a psychic and being a shaman. That's just a few of the things that I actually do. I also am an advanced angel therapist, which is great, and a yoga instructor with a little specialty in meridian yoga, which is very fascinating. So we kind of cover the physical area there. I'm also a Reiki master teacher and an intuitive and master intuitive coach. So, and the master intuitive coach is really what I have been concentrating on for, about the past 2 years with a wonderful teacher named Colette Barron Reed. Have you ever heard of her?
No.
No, she's really a fabulous person. So if everybody out there even just Googled her name, you'll come up with her website. So from studying with her, what has happened is that I have been able to take a lot of what I do as far as the restorative modalities go and actually kind of put them all together. So she has come up with something called the Envision Process, and this is a trademarked process using archetypes, Jungarian type of, Carl Jung, so Jungarian type of philosophy and archetypes.
What was her name again?
And it's Colette Barron Reed. And it's a hyphen R-E-I-D. And this cutting-edge modality is trademarked now. And what we do is we help to have people actually become the neutral observer during any kind of situation in their life. So they actually use Jungarian principles and active imagination to create new neural pathways in the brain to be able to deal with some kind of situation in their life. And we empower them rather than through, say, like hypnotherapy, which I'm also a hypnotherapist. In hypnotherapy, we really kind of tell them where they're going. In this process, they go on their own, and we are just guides to help to bring about a healing in any given area in their lives. It's really great because it totally empowers them. So let's go with a situation. Let's give a fictional type of situation. So say someone has a problem with their mother. This is a long-lived kind of situation that they've had a problem with their mother. So we can actually ask them to go into the landscape. We use landscapes for any kind of given situation. And in those landscapes, you might get something like a dry desert or an oasis or a storm field or, anything like that. And as soon as I said those words, Julia, I'm sure in your mind, you started to picture them. What's an oasis look like? Okay, so we go with where are you? Where are you? Given this landscape of your mother. So if I asked you right now, Julia, let's place you on the side of a hill, and what does the landscape of your mother look like as you gaze down that hill? So you would start to describe to me what that landscape is like. Say you had a situation with your mother where you just battled all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So in that landscape of your mother, there may be little battlefields. Everybody can imagine what a battlefield looks like. Mm-hmm. Then I would ask you, when are you? When are you? Can you tell? What age are you? Are you 2?
Okay.
Are you 14?
Mm-hmm.
Are you 18? Are you present day? And then it goes into, who are you listening to? Is there something there that you're listening to? Perhaps not your mother. Perhaps it's a goblin. Perhaps there's something there, some type of challenger. And is that what you're listening to? And when was that given birth to? So it's really this whole going through the symbology and working it out, having this dialogue. And if you've heard of like Gestalt type of...
right.
Yes. So this is more an energetic psychology, and it really is absolutely fascinating. And in a short order of time, you can help somebody get to the root of the problem so that they never look at that problem the same way again.
Wow.
Fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really amazing. It's really amazing. So she has written a book called The Map, which kind of overviews a lot of that. And again, I've been studying with Colette for a while now, even before she started bringing out the Envision Process as a given process, and has developed something called the Master Intuitive Coach Institute, which I am one of the master coaches within it now. And it's a great way for people who have backgrounds like myself to be able to pull all those modalities together, or somebody who is just interested in helping people and learning. The curriculum is it's fascinating and a bit arduous. You know, you have to be committed to it. And you know what? Anything that is worthwhile learning is worthwhile spending the time with. So I have spent the time, and I will continue to spend even more time. So that's kind of the topper. That's the frosting on my cake right now. But we can actually go down into the basics of where a lot of this started with. And where it started was probably, well, we can go way, way back to when I was just little and used to see things.
You did?
And yes, my whole life, having seen different things. And of course, you're really not allowed to bring it up and talk about it if you are raised Catholic.
Right.
That was a little bit of a, no, that's not real. So I used to see things and really didn't know where to be able to take that information. I will actually give you my first experience, which I don't tell too many people about this one. But I grew up in a very large family, and my mother, to get a break, would have my grandmother and her great aunts over, and, you know, they'd sit, they'd have tea, they'd darn socks, and all the kids would be put in for a nap. Now, that's how young I was, is that I had to go in for a nap. So I was allowed to be able to sleep in a different bed because it was closer to where, you know, the adults were gathering for their tea and darning socks. And as I was starting to go to sleep, or not going to sleep, or whatever you do when you're a little child, I actually saw a devil and an angel fighting. I saw it. To this day, I will swear to that. And am I wackadoodle? I don't think so. But I literally saw this going on. Scared me to you know what, because they were as tangible as me looking at you right now.
Ooh.
So I did what all little children do, and you pull the covers up. Like,
Right.
oh my goodness, what is that that's going on? Pulled the covers down. They were gone, the devil and the angel fighting. And I ran out to the living room where they were gathered. And I was crying. And I said, I just saw a devil and an angel fighting. It was the beginning of the undoing, because my mother turned around and said, it was just a dream, go back to bed.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of a response with children, which I have learned over the years, really, it doesn't help. That just a dream kind of thing does not help. To be able to be aware that there are realities beyond this given physical reality is really paramount. So I believe that in my life, that was probably my first encounter with Archangel Michael, who I think he is just, and I don't know if you were prepared to talk about the angels or not, but that's like a big part of my life too. So being an angel therapist is huge in my life, and I have found out that throughout my life, they have done an awful lot of work for me, helping me along on this path. So in the years of growing up, because I saw things, and that's only just part of what I would see. I actually knew when my great aunt had passed. She came into my school and visited me. And then when I got home, I found out from my mother that she had passed. So that was a beginning. Growing up in the 60s and 70s, we found a way to turn that, and meant what they did in the 60s and 70s. So sometimes we and sometimes we might have drank when we shouldn't have, and that actually shut down that kind of input. Because, of course, I had nowhere to take this type of information, which is why it's so important to teach kids nowadays what's actually going on in their lives. If I talked to anybody in the Catholic Church about it, well, I would have, that was that was so taboo, taboo. So it's really kind of funny, because in that church they expect you to talk to God. You talk to God all the time. Why do they find it so amazing when God talks back?
I know, I've also
Isn't it a conversation? Yes, what is that all about? We're talking. If we believe that they exist, then why
can't
is it
they talk?
so wrong for them to talk back?
Right.
They talk back all the time. So, and what's lovely is that the angels are messengers for that. It's clear to hear. They try to talk really pretty concisely so that we understand what it is that they are trying to guide us with. Of course, it's paramount to ask for help. If you don't ask for help, they are not meant to intervene. There are extreme cases where they might intervene, as when I was little and saw that, devil and angel fighting. Archangel Michael is the exception to it, and occasionally he is the one who will step in if something is off course and not within divine order to actually save you. So do you want to hear about the second time that I had an encounter with him?
Of course.
Of course. Excuse me. So there was one time when I was a teenager and I was walking home. And it was very, very late at night. And here I am, I'm just going to put myself out there for you because these are all learning experiences for me. So I had been at a friend's house, and it was very late at night. And we had had a few drinks, and it was kind of a long walk home. Yes, I might have been a little bit of a problem child at that point. At that point. So I'm walking home, and I scare something.
Sorry.
Cut
That
a
didn't help.
certain neighborhood. All right, you just broke up quite there, Julia.
Sorry.
It's all right. That's okay. So anyhow, as I'm walking home, I turned into this neighborhood, and there was a fork in the road. And both of them veered to the left. So I'm crossing over the first street that's there. Mind you, I had a few drinks. My reactions were slow because of that. And a little sports car comes around the corner and decides he's going to take that first road, which I am crossing.
Uh-oh.
As he crosses by in front of me, I literally felt a hand grab me by the neck, lift me up onto my tiptoes, and this car missed me by just inches. Like I felt it go by.
Oh my gosh.
And then the hand put me back down again. The guy in the car stopped, like, are you all right? It was that close. Like, he literally thought he had hit me. I'm like, I am fine. He's like, you want to ride home? I'm like, nope, I'm fine. This is good. I'm going to keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because I had had a few drinks, there's no way that my reactions could have been that quick. And honestly, I was literally on the tips of my toes up. There's no balance there.
And that was enough to make him miss you.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So I thank Archangel Michael for helping me out there. And it wasn't until later in my life when I started studying more about the angels and how they interject, mostly like the archangels, that I realized who and what it was that I had gone through. And that's only some of the experiences. A lot of things like this have played out within my life. And if a lot of people take the time to reflect upon those, wow, that was a crazy moment. Well, honestly, give thanks to your angels for that.
How did you
and I'm
get
sure you
involved
probably
with shamanism? How did you get involved with that?
Okay, so at one point in my life, after I had gone through getting my yoga certification and actually studying the meridian yoga and a few more things, I had become a Reiki master teacher. I knew that I was in a crossroads in my life to try to figure out what was next. We all get to a certain point, like, what's next? What's next? So I had come up with two different things. And one was either continuing within a physical type of modality for the yoga, studying even more about the meridians and all that, or to go into the shamanism. Now, in my life, because of seeing so many different things that were of not a natural origin, seeing spirit and all that, because we had actually moved into a haunted house, too, when I was going into the 4th grade. My parents bought a bigger, huge, and continued to have children, which they topped it off at 12 children. So coming
Good
from
Catholics.
A very large family and moving in, I know, it's that rhythm method, and if you have no rhythm and can't dance, it didn't work so good. So we moved into that house. When we moved into that house, I could actually see when my dad was not so much my dad, when something else was actually running him. And I think it was very much heightened from moving into this quite haunted house itself. So I wanted to have some answers to that. What is going on and why is that, and how can you deal with that? I studied with this wonderful woman. Her name is Leontine Hartzell, And she came up with the Eye of the Eagle program. She is directly down from Michael Harner to Sandra Ingerman to Leontine Hartzell, which those are all, great shamans. So I studied with her on a regular basis and gained some great insight as to how the spirit world works. Learned quite a bit about ancestral threads and attachments. And, that was really the process through it. And how much was I actually capable of doing to be able to free my dad, to be able to actually see the essence of him. What I did find out is that there's not too much we can do unless we're given permission. It's kind of like how the angels work too. You have to ask first.
Right.
So this poor man, I was told by a guy named Guy, another great shaman, that my dad actually had 7 different attachments. And that is how he played out his life. And they started very, very early in his life from different traumas that he had gone through and different traumas that had happened within his ancestral lineage. So they were passed right down along the line, which some of them had a field day with my siblings because, of course, we're in that house. We were in a ripe environment for stuff to happen. Mm-hmm. And stuff did happen in our house. But again, I wanted a great explanation for it. Mm-hmm. Some of what I did find is that there are things beyond our control. And then there are different things that are something that we can aid in, mm-hmm. only given through spirit. Big thing, get yourself out of the way. So I learned how to clear different people, which is great. When people have a spiritual attachment, it will generally come down into some type of physical ailment within the body. Mm-hmm. So if we can find whatever is attached to them and actually begin to clear that away, then the physical has the opportunity to begin to heal.
And how do you find that? Now, this is where...
Pardon?
How do you find that?
How do you find that? Shamans do something called journeying. Mm-hmm. And when we journey, we actually, through the aid of our spirit guides, begin to be able to see what has transpired within this person's life, within their spiritual life, too. So we may go through something called a soul retrieval, and you've probably heard that. Mm-hmm. So why would we do a soul retrieval? Okay, so if you had a friend who was in a car accident, and that friend, after the car accident, kept saying, since that accident, I have just not felt like myself. And they might say that for years. Mm-hmm. I just don't feel like myself. I just don't feel like myself. It's because they lost a soul part during that shock. Now, people think that a soul part is something that is broken. It's not. It's a whole piece. That piece that leaves is out of self-preservation. So we journey to find that piece. And then when we find that piece, if that person is ready to accept it back, and only if they're ready to accept it back, mm-hmm. then we can retrieve that piece. And it's through ritual. We can retrieve that piece and give it back to that person with the gifts that that piece has to offer. So do we actually do it? No, Spirit does it. The biggest thing for a shaman to do is to get out of the way. We are, and that's the truth. We are the hollow bone. We are just an instrument. So we are shown what to do, and under their power, we follow instruction. We do what they are meant to do. And again, it's kind of a ritual as far as the soul retrieval goes. Now, that being said, that's the shamanic part. in the intuitive coaching, we actually do something that's called a rescue, which actually helps the client to be the facilitator of their own retrieval, of their own rescue.
Mm-hmm.
And that's nice, because now we've taken what they perceive as our power, but we've empowered them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really the ultimate that we want, is to be able to empower the individual to be active in their own rescue,
mm-hmm.
to be able to see where the healing needs to be able to take place. So in shamanism, there's a lot of ritual, which is great, and there's a reason for all that ritual, like the drumming and the rattling and all that. We are shifting the brain waves to be able to develop new neural pathways, to be able to get into a state where they actually get out of their own way and where the shaman gets out of their own way. Because that's when spirit comes in, is when the brain waves have started moving into the theta and the delta state, that spirit state. So through the ritual of the shamanic journey, yes, we move into that delta state, that theta state, and so does the client, because we are drumming and rattling with them. And that is where we get out of our own way so that these processes can take place.
Okay.
It's nice. Yes. Now, also through the Master Intuitive Coach Institute and the Envision process, we have already taken them into a state of feeling safe and calm. Hopefully, all the coaches have opened with that, surrounding and making a nice, comfortable, safe place where they can actually journey into their own psyche and then come up with the resolutions. It's all right brain work.
Right.
In other words, get that left brain out of the way. Get it out of the way and allow the active imagination. It's one of those things when you're done with it, you go, we couldn't have made that up if we tried.
Well, this has been
fabulous.
A very interesting interview. We're about out of time. Is there something else you'd like to...
Already?
I know, it flew by. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about for a minute before we close?
I would say for all the people out there is that with healing on this level, and you're wanting to study and try new things, look at it all like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. And you go in, and generally what happens is that you have a whole lot, you fill up your plate, you go back for a plate, and then you leave this stuff. You don't go in and every certain kind of thing. Don't overeat, everybody wants to stuff so much knowledge into their head. Pace it out. And then when you go back again, go back for the thing that you like the best.
Right.
So it's sampling, but don't overdo it. There's so many beautiful modalities out there that can bring you to wellness. I myself, my favorite one now is the intuitive coaching, but there's so many, and I've tried so many, and so just shop around.
Okay, and
How's that?
I would encourage the viewers to read Elaine's guest article at tvbackstory.com, and she'll have some links on that where you can hook up and link to her and find out more.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Julia. It was wonderful meeting you.
Thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. All right, take care.